As we've mentioned, President Trump is about to reach a milestone. Saturday will mark his 100th day in office. And he's just tweeted, quote, "No matter how much I accomplish during the ridiculous standard of the first 100 days, and it has been a lot, including the Supreme Court, media will kill." So let's ask a couple of media members. Judith Miller is a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter, author, and Fox News contributor. Chris Deaton, deputy online editor at the Weekly Standard. Thanks, both of you, for being here. Sure. Judy, are you ready to, well, I don't want to say kill because that can get you in trouble with the Secret Service, but are you ready to pronounce this 100 days a success or a failure?
A failure, or in the words of our former president, George W. Bush, after he heard the inauguration speech, "That's some weird stuff." And he didn't say stuff, but I'm on TV. Look, he was the one who embraced the 100-day standard. I may think it's also ridiculous, but he's got nothing to show other than one important thing, which is the justice of the Supreme Court. And that's wonderful for conservatives. But what about all the other things he promised? There's no Muslim ban. There's no health care. And maybe it'll come back, but we don't know. If anything, Donald Trump has made Obamacare more popular than Obama ever made it. We've got no one at State Department to carry out the policy that he wants to implement. We don't even have a single assistant secretary nominated and on his way through confirmation. We do have an excellent communications guy at Treasury, by the way, our very own Tony Sayegh, with whom I have commentated and disagreed for a long time here at Fox News. But look, when are the American people going to figure out that they've been lied to? Nothing's gone on. Drain the swamp? He is the swamp. He's brought in lobbyists who are now regulating the very clients that they once lobbied for. So I think that populists have a reason to be very disappointed in this president. So far, he can learn, but let's see.
Let's get Chris's take on these first 100 days. Chris?
Sure. I think to Judith's point, you know, there's a lot to be said for the fact that Neil Gorsuch has overshadowed pretty much any other kind of accomplishment that he could possibly have. It's a really monumental thing for a president to appoint a Supreme Court justice, but we have to look at the methodology of some of this stuff. There's only so much that a new president, be it Trump, be it Barack Obama, be it anybody, can do from the Oval Office in the first 100 days, an arbitrary standard of a new administration. The legislature does not move with speed. It was designed to be incremental. So naturally, if you're going to try to tackle something as expansive and as consequential as health care, we have to remember the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act wasn't even passed by the Senate until December of year 2 of the Obama administration. So to try to implement a brand new health care regime just in the first 100 days is a massive undertaking. We see how it stained the administration right off the bat just because of some of the policy failings of it. And if you're going to try to get to tax reform, that's going to take months. We might hear some details coming out this Wednesday, but then there's immigration, then there's infrastructure. This stuff can't just be set up and knocked over like dominoes. It takes time.
Well, he did say that he was going to be a change agent in Washington, and, you know, the job comes with a learning curve, Judy. It does take some time to wrap your arms around the enormous powers of the presidency. He got high marks, for instance, on the Syria intervention and even the use of the Moab in Afghanistan.
Yes, yes. No, there are some things I like. I'm very comfortable with some of the people he's appointed in his national security team. I hope he listens to them. I liked the limited strike on Syria to make the Syrians pay a price for the use of chemical weapons there. But the problem is he's made such big promises that he was bound to fail if you knew anything at all about Washington. And that's the problem. He hasn't even learned the basic rule of Washington, which is you get more bees with honey than vinegar. I mean, all he has to do is kind of pay attention to the Congress rather than insult them. And the same with the media, and he'll have them eating out of his hand. But he hasn't seemed to learn that yet either.
Chris, should we set up another artificial metric, maybe 200 days or 300 days, and give our assessment then?
How about 4 years? I think that would be the one that I would suggest. But yeah, Judy makes a great point about working with Congress too. There's something to pick up on there. We've already just finished, granted there being differences in party between the White House and the Congress, but a Democratic president who was notorious for not working exactly well with the Congress. Now that we have a Republican Congress and a Republican president, you would perhaps expect some of these things to be expedited. But you do have to take a little bit more of a holistic view of this stuff. I think a little longer term down the road. There are some qualitative things I think Trump has done with respect to setting regulatory action in motion. He has done stuff with the Keystone Pipeline, for example. There are some things that were conservative priorities in recent years that he's gotten the ball moving on, but it's going to keep rolling for the months and months and months to come because that's just how this thing works.
Well, his chief of staff says that he has done a great deal, and a couple of hours from now we'll be hearing from his spokesman, Sean Spicer, at 1:30 Eastern Time. So we'll see what Sean has to say about all of this. Chris Deaton.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be gracious as ever.
I'm sure. Chris Deaton, Judy Miller, thank you both.
Thank you.